Hello, we are Gigs Assembled, and we have gathered here today, and we're talking about fatty owls. No, I mean Fawlty Towers, and we're going to talk about Kipper and the Corpse. And this is part of Series 2. Let's go and see what Alex and Susan made of this. I'm sure they've seen Fawlty Towers before.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Who hasn't? Basil!
Ramon and I are good friends. We have served at the finest hotels in the countryside. Let's see. I enjoy this so much. After seeing the movie that we reviewed, I laughed my face off.
You really needed to laugh after that movie, didn't you? Really?
Yes.
You needed cheering up.
The kipper, the sausage, the ham sandwich, the corpse, the lady who's terrified of finding said corpse and keeps finding said corpse in her room, in the hallway, and in the parlor, and then Jeffrey Palmer, who I loved in Doctor Who, and the Silurians. Oh my gosh, I just love him in Silurians. He's so brilliant. And he did okay in the Voyage of the Damned, but I love him in Silurians. He's sort of officious, and I also like him in his show Butterflies. So I'm just really fun.
He's in something else as well, but I can't remember what it's called. What's he in now? He's famous for another role. I was trying to think of it when I was watching it.
The one with Judi Dench.
Yeah.
Goes by.
That's
As time goes by. That's it. Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
And he was also in the James Bond movies as well. I think it was the Pierce Brosnan one.
Yeah. So well, he's a brilliant actor, and it was super fun to see him making a sausage and stuff, and the fact that he was a doctor. And so, like, all of those basic little parts of the story make this hilarious. And here's Alex.
Yeah, it's a very funny show. It's also, again, funny how it comments on class warfare, just like Keeping Up Appearances and the British Empire. And of course, it's also based on wild characters in real life. And of course, I know they don't like me saying it, but it's very popular in Boston for some reason.
Oh yeah.
It is. People forget that there's different
That's
episodes.
A pound in the jar.
Yep, and but I guess they like the way he acts. They like the way he screams and all that. And of course, they've tried to do 4 different versions. Some with a female Basil Fawlty, and they also did.
Whoa! When have they done that?
They did a remake. They tried to do remakes with in the 90s.
Female
also.
Basil.
Yep. And
in America.
Yep, and also they had John Larroquette trying to do Basil Fawlty.
That's right. Oh my
and
God.
It just didn't work. John Cleese knows how to act. He knows how to talk. And
he was in Doctor Who, of course.
Yeah, well, he was in it for 10 seconds.
And he was in Monty Python too.
Yeah, most people know that. What was the one that he was in as a newsreader? What was that? Spike Mulligan? What was it?
Yeah.
The one in England that he was a newsreader primarily.
Not the 5 o'clock news. 9 o'clock news. Is that it?
Yeah, John Cleese. Was it Spike? Some sort of show with the name Spike in it or something? Before he was in Monty Python, I think it was.
Are you sure it wasn't not the 9 o'clock news?
I'm not sure. But
was that a different time?
Yeah, it was different. But again, it's very funny. I understand that working in the service industry is very stressful, but he's too stressful. He'd drive anybody to a nervous breakdown. But again, I think the other problem is the Americans don't admit to class warfare. They don't admit to having class or any concept of class because it's too elitist. And the other problem is they don't want to admit to the service industry. They just want to say, have our product or have our, empire or whatever, and you love it. So I don't think the Americans can really, and I don't think they're going to admit as a whole about money, about class, about any of
Oh,
that. And
Alex, talking
yeah,
about class,
yep.
he appeared in that sketch with the two Ronnies where he looks down at me, I look up at him.
Right, right.
Have you seen that sketch?
I think I
That's
did a
about
long
class.
time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's also funny because without John Cleese and the Monty Python, you wouldn't have Jeeves and Wooster, you wouldn't have Fry and Laurie, and they sort of they carried on the tradition. Even Red Dwarf kind of carried on the tradition
Oh yeah.
of is this class, and all that. But unfortunately, like I said, Basil would drive anybody insane. So it's quite amazing that the show lasted as long as it did. Great writing, great jokes, great pace, and unfortunately, the Americans can't do it. They don't understand how that works.
Let's
And
be honest, the
yeah,
Americans can't do much. No
no, they
offense.
can, but not that type of humor and making fun of society. There's very little. They've had other shows that have tried to do it, like In Living Color or Mad TV,
You just
and
elect
they
you just
can't.
elect
They
comedians
can't
as
do it.
president.
Yeah, they can't do it. That's why the American cartoons actually do it better, like Family Guy and The Simpsons and all that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, Fawlty Towers and Monty Python and John Cleese, they started the tradition, and in a way they kept it going. And John Cleese, I guess, came back in commercials and radio
Yeah,
spots. Yeah,
recently he redid the scene where he beats up the car. Do you remember? I
Yeah.
can't remember what episode it was in. But he recently did that. I think was it for Specsavers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was and he was wasn't he like kind of married to Connie or whatever
He was married to her. Yeah. Yeah. They wrote it together. That's why it came to an end because they wrote it together.
yeah.
Until they ended.
Yeah, till they split up. They were married at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. But like all great comedies, this is actually based on a true life event that he had, wasn't it? It was actually based on an actual hotel that he went to and he stayed at. And he based the character on the guy running that hotel. So all the best comedy has elements from real life in it. And I'm sure we've all been to hotels like this where you've got somebody awful running it. I have. Yeah. Let's go to Beef Dad, see what he made of this episode.
Well, I never missed a single episode of Fawlty Towers. This is a brilliant one. Yeah, Jeffrey Palmer and his sausages. Poor soul. I always felt so sorry for him. The old lady with the dog. That was just a magical scene. The old lady with the dog.
The Shih Tzu.
And same to you. And the fact that Manuel couldn't understand her was just absolutely magical, and it was put it there, so he put the bowl on. He was going to put the bowl on there. No, the cushion. Yeah, Prunella Scales playing Sybil is just 100% magic. She was superb. Connie Booth was really good. She was probably the sanest one of the lot of them, as Polly. John Cleese, he's just brilliant. He's just brilliant. He's a superb actor. He is so funny, and his writing is superb. Of course, well, you expect that from someone who appeared in Doctor Who, don't you? And a lot of people don't realise that John Cleese actually appeared in Doctor Who. He appeared in The City of Death in 1979. He was one of the visitors in the art gallery in, I think it was episode 4. But yeah, and the chef, Terry, he always ends up being, yeah, shall we say, having his ears battered by John Cleese. So the thing is, if I worked there, John Cleese talked to me the way he talks to everybody, I would not work there. But the magical thing was with Manuel and him, and they are just so funny together. So that's my.
Thank you, Beef Dad. Yeah, I think the thing is with this, and the thing is with Fawlty Towers, is that the writing's so good, but all the characters really work together. All the actors. I mean, I don't know whether they liked each other personally. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I know, obviously 2 of them are married, but with the rest of the cast, I don't know how they got on. But the chemistry is totally.
Well, I sat watching this today, ready for the cast, and
Yeah, I watched it today again as well.
And I dusted down my old box set, but I was watching it. And I getting near the end of the episode, I thought, you know what, this episode could work so well on stage.
There is a stage version.
Is what of that?
Actually, they do. Local performances of like the Vicar of Dibley, Fawlty Towers.
Right.
Things like yeah, they do. If you go to your local town hall, they probably do it. They do Dad's Army as well.
No, but I mean, like this could work so well on the West End or something like that, because this to me has got farce written all the way through it.
Yeah,
could be on the treading the boards, a farce, like a Brian Ricks farce, and
they're all chaotic, aren't they? Every episode is chaos. Yeah,
but it's also it's an enclosed area, really. You've got the reception, kitchen, and bedroom, really, and that's it. You've got. So it could work that story could work so well on stage. They might have done it, I don't know. But,
and the basket.
Because they never go anywhere else. They never go anywhere else, really. Hardly ever.
No, they do work so well together. It's written so well. And the supporting casts are brilliant as well. You said that the 2 old dears, the Major.
Yeah, I love the Major.
The Major's brilliant character. And as you said, the woman with the Shih Tzu.
There was a story where Basil had to pick up the food in that red car. Was it a red little car that he had? He had to pick it up from that restaurant or whatever, and they keep showing him, running back and forth, trying to put it back in the car, trying to start the car and all that.
Yeah, that's Gourmet Night where he thrashes the car. But we're talking Kipper and the Corpse. It's the way. I mean, it being a hotel, you'd think there would be used to having customers dying every now and again. But the way...
No, I wouldn't say that.
No,
it's that hotel, yeah. I think
it's most only happened in many, many hotels that guests have passed away during the night or whatever. But the way...
Yeah, but they just put them in the store cupboard, like they do on the underground.
You can't put them in the kitchen.
No. You can't hear them.
Yeah, but it's
the basket.
There's something constantly happening. You've got to pay attention to every little bit in this episode. I mean, it's only 25 minutes long, but there's some. It's either John Cleese saying something, or it's Manuel's face, or it's Prunella Scales and Sybil chastising Basil or whatever, or Polly trying to help Basil out of a situation. But the supporting cast as well, they're just brilliant. It just works so well. And I've got to say, this is a good case of wobbly sets.
Yep.
They always used to say about Doctor Who having wobbly sets, but I'm sorry to say, Fawlty Towers was more wobblier.
Yeah, Fawlty Towers was like Acorn Antiques for wobbly sets, yeah.
You shut that door, that wall went like that.
Yeah, that's in every episode, though.
Yeah.
I mean, when they open the front door, you can see it's not, the hotel, it's not outside,
You've got to really pay attention to this episode. Well, all the episodes, as I say, it's just like that all the time. And that's good writing. I enjoyed this one. I hadn't seen this for ages. Put a smile on my face, it did. Over to you, Alid.
Yeah, it's put a smile on Lee's face. There you go. Yeah, I love them all. I can't say this is my favorite because they're all my favorites. I mean, Fawlty Towers is just one of those series where, because it's so, like, there's only 2 seasons, isn't there, altogether? There's only 2 seasons. Is that each episode is great for its own reason. And I chose this one because I hadn't watched it in a long time. And I just remember it being so funny, moving the dead body around and the woman keeping on seeing it. I just thought it was hilarious. And it is still absolutely hilarious. Basil's brilliant. John Cleese. Sybil is great. Polly, as Lee said, is the only sane one. In every episode, Polly is the only one that is kind of ordinary. Everybody else is crazy, even the Major. Manuel, I mean, you just can't beat Manuel. He's absolutely brilliant, and he plays so well against John Cleese, which is the real magic of it, really. Yeah, I'm really glad I chose this episode again. I mean, the other episode that was going to be chosen was the deaf one, where the woman comes visiting who's deaf, and he bets on the horses, and then he breaks the vase. I mean, that's brilliant as well. I mean, they're just all brilliant. Let's go to Alex and Susan for favourite moments.
All right. Well, my favorite moment has got to be the basket. Just the whole basket part of the episode was great. I mean, the woman gets thrown in the basket. The laundry gets thrown in the basket. They get put in the truck. They get put out of the truck. The basket goes upstairs. The basket goes downstairs. You can't put the body in the kitchen because the doctor, Jeffrey Palmer, is going to say no and please scrub up afterward because that is too much to bear. But he couldn't bear, and so anyway, the basket. I guess the basket is my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, some of this I can relate to, and some things
I'm a bit worried now. What bit can you actually relate to from this story?
Anyway, no, when you work in the service industry, you're going to meet weird people.
Well, if you come on Gigs Assembled, you're going to meet weird people.
Well, all right. Well, that's again, I mean, it was very funny how they're running a hotel and they can't seem to figure out to put things in the back. They can't seem to figure out to stay calm. They can't, and this is in almost every episode. They can't seem to stay calm. I also like the other episode where, a couple of the guests start attacking Basil Fawlty. And the problem is he's so irate that you almost feel sorry for the guests.
They all walk out at the end. They all walk out, don't they?
Yeah. So
that's brilliant. I love that episode.
Yeah, so I mean, and like Lee said, I mean, if you really ran a hotel, you actually should know. What do you do with a difficult customer? What do you do when somebody's very loud? And I know that's part of the funny.
Alex, it's a comedy.
I know. That's part of the funny thing. But that's the other thing. It's good to watch it on TV. You wouldn't want to see this in real life.
No, you wouldn't want to stay at Fawlty Towers. I mean, you wouldn't want to go to Torquay, full stop.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I mean, it is, it's a shame that there can't be more writers like John Cleese, and there can't be more subjects covered. Because like I said, I mean, I have rarely bumped into people that don't like the show, that don't like the situations, that don't like the absolute farce comedy of errors. I've actually shown it to people that again, they don't like British TV shows, but they love, how he reacts. They love how it's set up.
In America, do you think this is actually how it is in the UK? Do you think, like, Is that your perception of the UK hotels?
No,
The
of course
B&B?
not. No.
Okay, that's
only slightly.
yeah. Because some of them are definitely like that.
Oh my
There
God.
are some that are like
Wow.
that. There are
Well,
some.
no, only the little mom and pop ones,
No, I mean
or mom and dad.
the yeah, no, I mean obviously this is just like the Fast Show, but over here it was called Brilliant, where that again, that's why it's funny, because it is based on real life or really weird people that you will meet in real life. Like I said, I worked in the service industry for 7 years, and I couldn't believe some of the weird things I saw. Even I went. They're walking outside, they just, I mean, they'd come up to people and talk to them like they were friends when the other person never met them at all. Other weird, crazy things. So I think that's part of the reason why it works, and good comedy works, because you see reality and tragedy
Yeah, exactly.
and drama, switched very cleverly on its head. Yeah, it's there's other episodes that I like better, but I mean it's it's great when you see a real work of art, and it's a shame that the Americans can't really do the same thing. They're just not on the same wavelength. It's a shame. Robin Williams tried to come close, but a lot of
But as well, you see, John Cleese is so believable in that role because he is actually genuinely a bit like that.
Yeah.
He is not the nicest person you could meet.
No.
He is very much like Basil Fawlty. He doesn't take any nonsense, and he doesn't take any prisoners. He doesn't take any bull crap.
And I
he,
mean,
he
John,
really doesn't. I mean, if you see him on TV interviews, he's generally like Basil Fawlty.
I mean, they tried to do American versions, and John Larroquette is a good actor, but not like John Cleese. It's not the same thing. John Larroquette's a good actor, but he can't do John Cleese style. It just doesn't work.
Let's go to Beef Dad for favourite moments then.
I love the bit where they where Polly and Basil were trying to move the body, and the old lady comes up, sees the body, starts screaming, jumping, getting hysterical. Polly smacks her on the face, and she goes wallop on the floor. And then they put the pair of them into the wardrobe in where Mr. and Mrs. White were in their room, and then they want to go in there, and then they try to talk them out of going into the room. But that whole thing bit was just so funny. And the bit where the old lady's dog, bit Manuel and Polly, and then they gave it something unpleasant to eat. And that's one of the things about Manuel. I mean, everybody thinks Andrew Sachs is English. No, he was actually born in Berlin in Germany. Yeah, it's, and the bit where Manuel decides that he wants to resign, that all involves the basket. That is just so funny, and of course it ends up with Basil in the basket being driven away by the laundry people. And that's right at the end. You just sit there killing yourself laughing. It's just brilliant. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you, Beef Dad. Let's go to Lee.
What you've got to realise about this is the second series.
Yep.
There was 4 years gap between the first and second series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
4-year gap.
4 years gap. That is a long gap. Yeah.
And in between there, the first series and the second series, John Cleese and Connie Booth departed.
I just assumed it was the next year.
So,
it was the following year, you know. Okay.
No, so for the second season, there wasn't together, but they were still writing. Yeah, there's so many things in it. I mean, Prunella Scales as Sybil with the old dear.
Yeah.
You know, the old dear's just going on, laid on the bed, going on about being locked in a wardrobe with a dead body and all like that. And all you get off Sybil is, "Oh, I know. Oh, I know." But as you know, she's not listening to where she's saying. But Manuel doesn't want to work there again, and he keeps moving the tablecloths from the doctor. Manuel, come here. Let me explain to you. Right in the eye.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I know. But, yeah,
she now does canal rides, doesn't she?
Yeah, Prunella Scales is married to Timothy West.
Timothy West, yeah. They now travel down canals together.
But she's suffering now from dementia.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's losing a lot of her memories, isn't she? Yeah.
Also, the supporting cast, there is an actor in here that nobody's mentioned. Who was in Doctor Who as well was Richard Davies, the Welsh actor, who was Mr. White, who appeared in Delta and the Bannermen. So the holiday camp, he owned the holiday camp. You just saw these supporting actors pop up in different shows. You know, it's brilliant. I just like the way Basil Fawlty has difficulty coping or getting along with these people, his guests, because he thinks he's far superior to everybody else. And it's, it's just brilliant. When he mistakes the man's friends for the Undertakers, and he's in the basket. He's in the basket. Stuff like that. Oh no, brilliant writing. Brilliant, as you said, there's just so much going. And that when he finds out that the corpse has been dead for quite a few hours. Oh joy!
Yeah.
Joy. And then he's got a kipper sticking out his jumper, and just brilliant.
It doesn't stop, does it? It just doesn't stop. It's constantly bang, 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 bang. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just doesn't stop. It's relentless.
And it's a really
comedy.
The comedy today, it's not. There's a patch on this. You can't touch these classics
because there's nobody to write them like that. There's no one to write them.
You know, it's not constant nowadays. It's just
no one can do it. No, they can't. They haven't got the writers. They haven't got the talent.
No.
Have we finished? Yep.
Have I?
I don't know. Have you?
Go on then.
Well.
What?
Yeah, I mean, what more can I add? It's just funny from beginning to end, with the corpse and moving it around. Then the woman sees it and she starts screaming, jumping around, and then, like Beef Dad said, with Basil going off in the truck at the end, it's just brilliant. I mean, every episode is brilliant, from the first episode to the very last episode. And this one's no different. And I'm going to give it a 10. I'm going first. I'm going to give it a 10. Susan and Alex, what's your final say and score?
I don't have anything bad to say about anything that John Cleese has ever done. And so since he's a real genius, I'm going to give it a 10.5 out of 10. And beat that, Alex.
Well, I don't have to. I mean, John Cleese, the cast is extremely good, and the situations are very relatable.
He's
And
not going to give it a 10, Susan.
It is a farce, and it is.
He's going to give it a 9.
It escalates very quickly, and like I said, sadly there's very few American shows that can even understand how this works. And when you work in the service industry, which I did, even sometimes I could see it in the episodes. I could say, oh yeah, that happened. The customer was a little bit like that, but you can't panic. That just makes the thing worse. And he just panics and he shouts and he confronts, and you can't do that in
He
the
gets very
service.
stressed, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, in a comedy you can do that. You can't do that in real life. You're gonna have a war on your hands. You're gonna have a riot. So even though I noticed a little bit of it, like you mentioned, the woman that was deaf. I mean, I was laughing really hard.
I love that.
I love how the woman was insulting him. Then he was insulting her, and talking to the side and talking under his breath. And I mean, we all can relate to that. We've all had a social experience. We go, oh God, or whatever. But you can't go all crazy, and yelling and screaming and all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I wish the Americans would take more notes, and I'm sorry to say that. But like I said, I've shown it to so many people. They love it. They love the way it's written. They love the way that the acting is. I mean, what about that other episode where the chef gets drunk and what's her name? The maid, what's her name?
Polly
tries to explain, and then she's making all these weird facial, ticks and all these other. I mean, and then don't mention the war.
Don't mention the war, and then he does the war.
It's there's so many. It's like Jeeves and Wooster. It's like a comedy of errors, and it's so funny how they're able to twist the language and make it so relatable. And even when people, that's a sign that it's well written. When people that aren't even fans are laughing, then you have a well written show. So even though I give this episode probably a 7, the rest of the series,
what?
I'd give it a 9. Stop. I'd give it a 9.
You're giving this episode a 7?
Yeah, because I like other ones better. Like I said, the deaf woman, the one that John Cleese mistakes for the critic, and then he ends up beating up Basil Fawlty right there in the hotel. The deaf woman. I mean, there's a lot of other stories that I found funnier.
And you're giving the series as a whole a 9. Let's go to Beef Dad. He's unmuted anyway.
Absolutely brilliant. Every episode is brilliant. This, I don't care what Alex says. This is one of my.
No, I don't either.
This is one of my favourites. Loved it. It's just hysterically funny, and yeah, it gets a solid platinum 10.
You giving it a 7 as well? I'm very disappointed in your Beef Dad.
I said a solid platinum 10. You deaf little twerp.
What, a 6? Oh, jeez. Let's move on. Lee.
Yeah. It's difficult to score this one, isn't it?
You don't know what I'm going to ask you yet.
Go on then.
What's your score?
It's difficult to score this one, isn't it? Out of the 12 episodes made, is this as good as all the others, or is this not as good as all the others?
They're all good, though. I think they're all equally as good.
I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 well done sausages.
Oh, and we do like a good sausage here on Geeks Assembled.
When they're crispy and black.
Yeah. Oh, no.
As the host corpsed.
Yeah. Are you still thinking about the sauna, really?
Carry on.
So, what have we learned today, folks? That Lee likes a crispy black sausage. So, if there's anybody out there with a crispy black sausage, please you just give us a bell and we will give you Lee's contact number. So there we are. As I said, I'm giving it a 10. I'm giving them all a 10. So for any future casts, I don't need to turn up now because they're all getting a 10. Oh, that's a good way of getting out of it, isn't it, Alex? And every future suggestion Lee makes, it's going to be a 2. So if we're ever doing a black hole 2 or whatever, it's a 2. So I'm not going to be on that one. Anyway, tell us what you think below of Fawlty Towers. And thank you for watching. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Look after yourself. Take care. We will see you next time.
Just don't mention the war.